Okay, so in this video we're going to do the next JavaScript exercise in this class. We're going to do 11.3, build a JavaScript clock part 1. Let's see what's going on. I have a sample file that you're going to copy and paste to create a new file, and I do have a link that'll take you to the washington.edu lesson that we're following that will explain how to build a JavaScript clock. We are going to be able to use the built-in JavaScript object to retrieve data. So every time that you open up a browser, there are variables that are already working with your computer to get certain information. It already knows what time it is. That's why it's important to keep your time set in your Windows system or your Mac system or your computer system in general. We'll be able to use the HTML document object model to get an HTML object from a web page. So that information, we're going to get it from the computer. We're going to give it to web page code so that it will display it. And we're going to be able to assemble multiple parts into a character string. So we're going to be getting parts of the time, the hour, the minutes, the seconds, etc., and able to display it on a web page. And we're going to be doing all these things using JavaScript. So the first thing we're going to do is add a digital clock to the web page, and to do so we're going to be opening up javascript.html, which, as I said in the last lesson, you don't really have it, so we're going to create it. And I know that you created a javascript.html for the previous lesson, but we're not using that one because that code needs to stay there. This will be a new code set. So I've already logged into my GitHub. I'm going to create a new file. We have week 12 is our last one that we did in this class. So I'm going to create a new file, and I'm going to call this inside a folder called week 15 slash to create the new folder, and it's going to be called javascript.html. Pressing enter to accept, and now I'm going below to the editor, and I'll be ready to code. I'm not going to be coding this from scratch, so I'm going back to the lesson where I told you I already have the JavaScript text already here. I'm going to just create all of this. I'm going to right-click actually and select all the text. Right-click and tell it to copy. Go back to my new file in GitHub and press Ctrl-V as in Victor to paste. I'm going to zoom in a little bit just to see this a little bit better. And this is going to be website 2, Judy Jetson's JavaScript page, and I can call it something else. I'm going to call this something like my JavaScript clock. So the content of the web page will go there. Let's go back to the lesson. So it's telling us that first thing we got to do is create a container in the body of your web page that the JavaScript will write to. So in order for this clock to display anywhere, there's got to be some code in the file. It's telling us to put it in the body of the web page. I'm only selecting this when I right-click and copy, going back to my page. Body is right here. It says the content of the web page will go here. I can select that text all the way, all those brackets, and replace it with what I just copied. So instead of having that comment in there, it's going to have a division. It's going to have an ID called clock, and that's where the program will display. Next, there's going to be a lot of explanation that I'm going to leave up to you to read. I do recommend that you read it. They explain basically what's going on. We're going to be creating a function like we did the last time. Function is basically a small program that's going to be loaded into your web page that will do the things that we ask it to. In this case, it's going to be declaring a few variables. Variable that will hold the hours, the minutes, and the seconds, and getting them from existing values in the system. And then once it gets all of those things put together, it will put them together in a new variable called current time. That way, whatever we get for hours, minutes, and seconds will be added in a row. It's going to be a string, so it's just a series of characters put together. And then we're going to get the clock division. That's what we just declared on the web page, and it's going to get whatever information we've gathered and display it into the HTML, and then we'll have a clock going. The next thing that it tells us to do, and by the way, I did say, and I'll repeat, please read the information given to you here. and it's going to tell us that we need to load the function that we load onto the page as soon as we load the body. So let's look at the function. I'm scrolling up to the yellow box at the top. It says that I have a function called update time. Where am I going to put this? I'm going to put it in a script, and there should be a script already there somewhere. I'm going to right click and copy and the text I just selected. And I don't really have a script on this one page, but we did have one in the previous one, and that just tells me that we're going to be creating a new script. So I'm going to find the end of the head, which is right here on my line 6, and put in a space there so that 6 is just blank, and I'm going to paste what I just copied. I'm declaring this this function into a new script. All I've done is copied and pasted the script that was given to us. I put in the space in there after the 6th line so that I can put in a script tag. I'm going to open up the bracket. Actually, I already have it there, and it's going to be called script. Close the angle bracket, and I'm going to go to the end of the function that we just pasted. So just before the head comes in, I'm going to add angle bracket and slash script. So the code that I copied and pasted is now within this script that starts on my line 6 and it goes all the way to line 25. I'm going to put in an extra space here just so that I see what's going on. I can read it a little bit better. So now we have the script loaded, or at least we have it ready to load in the head part of the script. And now it tells us, yes, we're going to be loading it up like we did before. We're going to say whenever the body loads on the HTML, it's going to load the function called update time. I'm going to select that so I can copy it, come back to the page, and in the body, since I copied the whole thing, I'm going to replace body with unload equals update time parentheses. You could have also just typed unload equals parentheses right after the body tag, and then that way, you know, the tag, or rather, yes, the function will load as soon as the body is loaded. So then it tells us a little bit about how to add comments in JavaScript. So just so that we know what's going on in the code, they recommend that we add some comments. And this is a summary of different methods that you can use to add comments. It's now giving us some resources on the lesson about the date object, that is the information that we gathered from the system, so that if you want to read up on this, you know, how does it get the date, how does it get the time, and also how we use the document object model and all this. So we're going to be checking the web page on the browser. This means I'm going to go and just commit my file. I'm going to commit the new file. That way it'll load whenever it's ready to go. I'm going to give it a little bit of time as it's saving and scrolling down. This is my username.github.io/week15, and there's a file called JavaScript in here. I'm going to click on JavaScript again just so that I get the whole look at this. This is the code that I just typed in. I'm going to highlight all of this. You could type it in. I found from previous classes that if you highlight the username and your directory and the name of the file, you could right click and tell Chrome to go to that page, and as long as it's loaded and it's already loaded here, it will display it. So this right away tells me the time. It's 16:36:16. Currently that means this is military time. It's 4 o'clock. It's 36 minutes and 16 seconds. If I were to reload, it will update that script. So whenever you're done with this script that you just typed in, make sure that you turn in the URL on top and copy that and turn it into the 13.3 Build a JavaScript Clock Part 1 assignment, and you're done with this and you can move on to Part 2.